And welcome in, everyone. How is everyone doing at this nice April Sunday? So, yeah, you might be noticing that camera angle is a bit different today because I'm actually testing out a new webcam, which I actually bought more for calls, but I have to say the angle works out pretty well, so I thought I'd test it out also for the stream today. So yeah, but not sponsored or anything, so just testing it out because I'm curious myself. And yeah. So let's get settled in. Give everyone time to join in who is interested. It was actually a bit of a challenge this week to find some interesting topics to talk about because at the moment there it's yeah, pretty dry in regards to real metaphor topics. There is a lot of small stuff happening, but nothing where you could say, oh, that is really major. And but we have some interesting tidbits that were happening in the past two weeks where we are going to talk about today. Especially our leading story this week was definitely really interesting because it got misunderstood by quite a lot of people, and if you don't know how patents in the US work, it's easy to get it misled actually. So just waiting so we get to the 5-minute mark roughly, and then I'll go through the topics of today. We can get ready for the stream, for the recording. Okay, here we go, 5-minute mark. So, for everyone listening, watching live, so let me actually check that I'm on the right page in Safari. I am. So screen share. So today we are going to talk about the news story that apparently Intel got granted a patent that reflected the Zen architecture, but that whole thing. Why is this not? Oh, super. For some reason, the browser thing on OBS broke, it seems like. Weird. I changed that earlier, but now it's working again. Okay. Yeah. But good that that I am always doing this pre-show show notes thing. Yeah, as I said, we're going to about the story that Intel patented the Zen architecture, but as I was suspecting already, that is not the case. So, and quite a few people jumped on that and clarified stuff, and that, as I said, patents in the US can get pretty confusing. Then next topic is we have the next big tech company partnering with iFixit for replacement parts for their devices, and that's Google with their Pixel phones. Another story afterwards about Google is cracking down on no longer supported apps, so meaning an app that is basically in the App Store for I don't know how many years without updates, and yeah. And those will be removed later this year. So yeah, next one is also Android related. There were announcements regarding new custom chips coming. Then there were two major development conference announcements this week, and we're going to close with the discussion topic of this fanboyism in tech. Because I think this is getting very discussion worthy now that we are in a environment again where you see a lot more competition in between brands again. So it reminds me a lot of the early 2000s era, but yeah, back then you didn't have YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat whatsoever. And you did not have this creator community that we have today, and yeah, that's leading to some problems when you have strong opinions about yeah, brands and products. So yeah, that's something I want to discuss with you today. So yeah, that's overall the topics that I want to go through during with today's episode. If you want to get to all the articles that I'm referencing in today's episode, you can always get to these with !show notes. If I would be able to type properly. There you go. There you have the link to the show notes, and there you will find all the links to all the articles that I will be discussing today. And yeah, so, and please feel free to leave feedback in regards to picture quality and so on, because I am testing out. I can actually show you which camera it is that I'm testing right now. Come on. It's this one. It's the Anker PowerConf 300 C300. Definitely better than my old one, because this one has a camera angle from up to 110 degrees, and my old one was only 70 degrees, and since it's mounted on my monitor, which is pretty close to me, yeah, you can imagine. I actually can show it to you. If might screw up with a bit with the background, because the green screen is not wide enough for 110. But I can actually show it to you. So because this is basically what you're seeing right now is the 90 degree camera angle, and that works pretty well. Basically, I have about 20 centimeters behind my back. I have the green screen, and that works out pretty well. But yeah, to show. Oh no, I am actually at 70 right now. I am at 70 right now. Okay, let me quickly do something else on. Because I will also be interested to see. Oop, that I did not want to do. That was wrong. Sorry. I'm clicking all the wrong stuff. Okay, I'm not experimenting with the OBS settings right now. But basically, when I can, it's actually 115 degrees, so I can actually zoom out this far. But now you basically see on the left and the right, you see my office, because the other space in between is my green screen. So this would be 90, and this is 70, which works best with the green screen right now. So that's for 90 or so, I would need a wider green screen. But yeah, it was that cam normally has a price of about 120, 130 euros, and it was on sale on Amazon. Or might even be that it still is. Let me quickly check. PowerConf 300. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, okay, in Germany it's listed normally for 109, and it's going on Amazon right now for 79. So if I go over here, you can see this. Of course, this is German Amazon, not US or UK. But yeah, if I might be adding a Genius link for this in the recording description, so if someone watching this is interested, you can grab this. Okay. Enough talk about hardware testing. Let's get into the recording, I would say. We are now we are already 15 minutes in. So yeah, let me get set up. Perfect, song actually ended. We are going to switch scenes. And I am going to hit our oh man, I can't talk today. Obligatory countdown. Let's see if everything works.
Three, two, one, zero.
And welcome back to my technology podcast. This is episode 16 of Bastian Noffer's TECHCAST. I'm your host, Bastian Noffer, and yeah, another 2 weeks in the books, and yeah, it was pretty dry, but still, I think I found some interesting topics to talk about today. And yeah, let's jump right into it. For those listening to this in podcast form, you should find the link to the show notes in the episode description. If not, you can head over to my blog at bnonet.com, where you will be able to find the post with the show notes and all the links of the articles that I will be discussing today. And yeah, let's jump right into the topics for today. On screen, I have now the posting for today's show. So yeah, we are going to discuss the story that made the rounds last week that apparently Intel patented the Zen architecture, or got a patent on the Zen architecture granted this week. But yeah, as would be expected, that is not what happened. So we are going to have a look at that. Then Google is also now partnering with iFixit to supply replacement parts for their Pixel smartphone lineup. And yeah, then another topic from Google is that Google's cracking down on unsupported apps. So that means not apps that are generally not unsupported, but basically that are not maintained anymore, which have been dormant in the store for quite some time. Next topic is that the news that there are going to be new custom chips coming to Android smartphones in the next few months or years. And yeah, so the next topic is there were some developer conference news last week, and yeah, then we're going to close out this episode with a discussion topic, and that's fanboyism in tech. And there were some instances of this that I came across in the past few weeks that actually triggered it for me to want to talk about this and the impact that something like this that will have in the months and years to come. So yeah, let's jump right into the first topic. This is a community post on TechSpot titled "No, Intel wasn't granted a patent for AMD Zen architecture." And yeah, the whole story broke basically with these posts here, where someone was basically posting comparisons between AMD slides and diagrams that were presented in an Intel patent. And yeah, those slides were basically copied one-to-one. And yeah, it's basically, as Dr. Ian Cuttress writes here in this post, the Twitter post that is linked here, what happened is these slides were used as reference material for providing evidence of an existing solution. Why Intel used AMD slides for referencing that kind of stuff is anybody's guess. But as Dr. Ian Cuttress writes here, I can read the post. This is from, does it show a date? That's from April 6th, so from earlier this week. And he writes, yeah, this is definitely an intern's summer project to describe how a CPU works. B, said intern took generic CPU architecture slides from the internet and ended up with AMD. And C, actual patent covers some minor thing to do with security and monitoring. D, 120 I cannot talk today, sorry. 122 pages. So yeah, so this is not uncommon to have to file stuff in a patent that is related to other technologies, especially when you want to establish a baseline for something. So that's not uncommon, because you have to describe and prove that that thing that what you are actually talking about, what you actually want to patent, is not something that is already in the public domain. And that takes a lot of effort. And yeah, it's still strange why Intel used slides from AMD for that particular purpose, but yeah, it is what it is, and basically it's a non-story. I just wanted to cover that because it came up in discussions a few days ago, and yeah, it's definitely worth mentioning. And yeah, so let's get to the next topic, which gets back to our discussion in regards to right to repair, since Google now is also partnering with iFixit to offer parts to help repair Pixel phones. And the nice thing that Google's actually doing here is they are going to support Pixel phones from the Pixel 2 to the current Pixel 6 Pro generation. So that's quite a bit of device span that they're going to provide parts for, which is really, really nice. But Google here is also not a saint, and even by providing this in basically all the countries there where Pixel phones are sold. This article, by the way, is on Engadget. But basically, Google is also doing this because they want to avoid, legislature and illegal action in regards to their products. So it's cheaper for them to be upfront and start providing services like this through companies like iFixit than getting forced to do something. So that's why this move is happening. We have to see, same with Apple, Microsoft, and so on. We have to see how far they are going to push this and how widespread it will be in regards to the supported devices. But nevertheless, it's a step forward for right to repair. And yeah, that's already this story. So as I said earlier in the beginning, there was not much happening in the last 2 weeks. Then we have this story also in regards to Google, that Google is clamping down on out-of-date Android apps, and that's also on Engadget. And yeah, Google is basically forcing everyone who wants to have their app to be discoverable on the Google Play Store to update to one of the Google of the Android SDKs that is newer than 2 years older than the current one. So I think the latest one is Android 12. So you need to be on Android 10 on the Android 10 SDK at minimum. So if you're still on 9, 8, or 7, or even older, which I don't hope you are, then you will be. Then if you're not on the latest ones, your app will be basically delisted from searches and so on. Only direct links will show up your app then. And yeah, this is a harsh move, but I think it's a good one because yeah, especially in the Android ecosystem with apps that are older than SDK version 9. That is now my personal opinion. Um, the apps are getting really, really crappy if they're not updated to the latest ones, because Android and the Android SDK has matured a lot in the past 3 years. So that move here is actually a good thing for the end user. And of course, for developers, if you have a legacy app that just needs to be there, that will be effort. But for the users, for the consumer, that will be a step up, definitely. And then we already have our next story. So it's going pretty quick today. This is an article on Mac Rumors, and this is now announcing that Samsung and Oppo are seeking to rival the iPhone A series chips with custom designs and TSMC fabrication. So I am actually a bit confused that this is mentioning Samsung, because Samsung already has custom SoCs with the Exynos line. Or am I just... It was Samsung with the Exynos, right? Let me check that before I'm talking nonsense to you. Just to be sure. No, Samsung Exynos. Let me just check. Yeah, the Exynos chips are... okay, the difference is that the Exynos chips are actually manufactured by Samsung Foundry, and those would be manufactured by TSMC. Okay, now I get it. So I don't want to leave you guys hanging with the wrong information when I don't have the full picture. So here you can read, here the article reads, earlier this year, Chinese smartphone brand Oppo launched its first custom silicon chip, the Mari Silicon X image processor in the Find XS. Now the company's chip design team is developing an application processor AP and an entire custom system on chip SoC for future Oppo devices. And yeah, so this is next player on the field. And what was it in regards to Samsung? Here, meanwhile, Samsung smartphone chief Ro Tae-moon told a company town hall meeting that we will make an application processor unique to the Galaxy. The push toward custom silicon chips is reportedly being driven by GPS issues with poor thermal performance caused by the Exynos 2200 chip in Samsung's latest Galaxy S22 series of smartphones. Yeah, Samsung hopes it will be able to mirror Apple in taking multiple considerations into account with its custom chips, which is actually interesting to hear, because the Exynos is actually already a Samsung owned chip. And for those not in the US, or for those in the US who don't know, I think the Galaxy lineup is shipped in the US with Qualcomm CPUs, and that's Qualcomm SoCs or CPUs are basically, you can say, the de facto standard among the top tier Android smartphones and tablets. And yeah, the latest changes in regards to the iPhone and Mac processors basically showed everyone, hey, when you control hardware and software, you can do much, much, much more than what you can do if you have a third-party product where you just implement the APIs for, and you can have tight integration between your software and hardware teams and create much more efficient solutions. And this triggers this move, and yeah, especially when you're dependent on the hardware roadmap from another manufacturer. This is a dependency that can cause issues. External dependencies are always an issue, and if you have everything in house, it might be more expensive in the short term, but it might be cheaper in the long run. Especially since you can improve your product massively. But it also depends, of course, on your sales volume. And yeah, Samsung and Oppo are both definitely brands who have the sales volume to basically handle a custom silicon development. So yeah, will be interesting to see if that would mean that at some point perhaps the even the Galaxy smartphones in the US might ship with not with Snapdragon SoCs from Qualcomm anymore, but with Samsung's own silicon. So that which is the case for basically the rest of the world. Basically everything outside the US gets the Exynos chips, and the US gets the Snapdragon. No one really knows why that is. At least I have not heard a good explanation for that. So yeah, the SoC market gets more crowded, and that's actually interesting to see because in regards to the chip shortages and so on, I heard that basically all the wafer production is already sold out till 2026 or 2027 even. So and the wafer producing companies, not the companies like TSMC who are basically creating chips from the wafers, but the manufacturers of the silicon wafers themselves, they are not expanding production capabilities, but companies like TSMC and Intel, they are investing heavily. I don't know how many fabs Intel is planning to build. A few weeks back, there was a news that they are wanting to build also one here in Germany, and yeah, so this is quite interesting news that there is more moves into custom silicon, but yeah, we are really running into a bigger and bigger silicon or wafer shortage in the upcoming years if those manufacturers are not expanding their capabilities. So that will be interesting to see. And now into some developer conference news. So yeah, Facebook announced this week that they are not going to hold their F8 developer conference this year because they are pivoting their business to Meta. And on Wednesday, they gave the following statement. Similar to years past, we are taking a brief break in programming and will not hold F8 in 2022 while we gear up on new initiatives that are all tailored toward the next chapter of the internet and the next chapter of our company to building the metaverse, which is of course Meta's big thing. And yeah, so there is no Facebook developer conference this year, and this article is is on The Verge. So if you want to have more details on this, this is you can find the story here. I am not going to go into more details for the Facebook conference. Much more interesting is the other development conference announcement from this week. And this is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference 2022, which was announced for June 6th till 10th. And it will be a all online event again. So the article up on screen is from Mac Rumors. And yeah, they will actually have an all online event, but there will be a special student event in parallel on June 6th, which will be on site at Apple Park. So yeah, and the event will also be free again. So you can attend all the sessions from around the world. So there are no fees attached. Which of course opens this up to a much wider audience. And of course, I think that's also what Apple is going for. So more people are able to have access to all the informations provided. And WWDC this year, or how WWDC, how it's called in the Apple community, will be a pretty interesting event this year. It's not in the doc, and because it's currently wild rumors. But one thing that will probably be announced at this year's conference will be the ARM-based Mac Pro, which could be a very interesting step for the ARM platform in regards to personal computing. Of course, there are already ARM CPUs and servers and so on that I have quite a bit of PCI Express, but for the desktop use, I think there is not really a product that does this in a large scale yet, and that's what the Mac Pro is. And yeah, so it's definitely interesting to see what Apple is going to do there. Rumors are pretty wild at the moment. And yeah, so that's one thing that is expected. And based on the remarks Apple made during the last special event, it's likely that they will be doing that, because WWDC marks the 2-year marker for the Apple Silicon transition. So that started at WWDC 2020, and it would be logical that Apple wants to hold that promise and is going to close the cycle with the Mac Pro announcement, and basically after that not selling any Intel-based Macs anymore. So yeah, that's definitely for Apple a major milestone that is coming up. And as I discussed during earlier episodes, I also expect that we will hear or see something in regards to Apple's AR and XR headset. A lot of things are pointing to that. And yeah, I'm a bit conflicted in regards to the Mac Pro, because it would not be like Apple to basically announce two big things at WWDC. So I'm not really sure if Apple is going to do the Mac Pro at WWDC. As I said earlier, there is still April. There have been April events. So might be there is something upcoming this month that they're going to announce it earlier, because it would be more logical to introduce or to present the AR/XR headset at WWDC, because with that you're introducing a new operating system, new APIs, which is much more relevant for a developer conference than just announcing a new Mac Pro. Traditionally, yes, the Mac Pro was announced at WWDC, but yeah, I don't think that Apple wants to share the major announcement of the AR/XR headset with another product that could take the spotlight from it. So I am a bit conflicted with that. So I think my intuition says me that there will be something for the Mac Pro earlier, and we will see the XR headset at WWDC. It might be that we see both there, or the headset is delayed and will be next year. But there have been so many signs that there is something coming up, especially since there is now AR support in the web AR support in Safari, in the Safari preview, and that releasing that to the public, if there is nothing coming up, would be a bit weird. So yeah. And yeah, now I can actually switch to the other scene, because now we are done with our overall topics, and I want to go into our discussion topic for today: fanboyism in technology. And you're seeing this much more right now in various venues, depending on where you're looking at. And there was a recent instance that really prompted me to wanting to talk about this, because I am following quite tech YouTube channels in various niches, and there was now a YouTuber that specialized actually on Mac content, and especially also with older Mac content, also repairability and so on. And he reviewed the Mac Studio quite heavily, and he actually took a PC and compared it to a Mac Studio. And the last video, which somehow triggered quite a few people, was comparing the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max to a creator laptop from MSI with Intel 12th Gen and NVIDIA RTX 3000 graphics. And the rants some people posted there in the comments that were, yeah, let's just say not that nice. And I think now that we're getting back in a time where you're seeing this competition between brands like Intel and AMD and Nvidia and Intel, when we now go to the graphics space, Intel is coming up with their own dedicated GPUs, and this comes up much more than it has in the past, because AMD was for a long time the underdog, Intel was the mainstream for CPUs, and the same was for GPUs, and yeah, Apple was and is its own niche, and has been for a long time, up until it became more compatible thanks to the adoption of Intel processors back in 2006. that changed quite a bit the dynamics, and also made Apple much more comparable to PCs. And with the ARM transition, Apple now is going back to the roots, so to speak. So they are now not conforming to the norm of personal computing anymore, and that brings advantages and disadvantages. And in the particular reviews, this YouTuber, which I'm not intentionally going to name, made excellent points, because Apple is dedicating their hardware for their basically core user base who are using their machines and their software, because Apple has their vertical integration, and yeah, that's what they're best at, what they're good at, and that's where those machines actually excel. And of course, in regards to battery life, and the problem here is, you can, for some people, you can bring up whatever arguments you want, but you have to see everything from the perspective of what the device is intended to be used for. And we are getting much more into this product design thinking right now. As I said earlier, there will be now more custom engineered chips for smartphones. In an earlier episode, we talked about AMD acquiring Xilinx, and also creating new, even for consumers, more products that are also more tailored to certain things, because you can add FPGAs to them. Of course, FPGAs are more versatile than the fixed ASICs and circuits that are part, for example, of the Apple processors. But the things that these FPGAs can do, they have to be programmed for that. That has to be created. And it's not really all comparable one by one anymore. And a lot of people don't understand that yet. That understanding will come at some point, but at the moment, a lot of people are just still comparing raw numbers, and focusing also on the wrong details. And I think we all in the tech community, we have to be mindful of that development, and we have to all be part of the group of people who make other people aware of this change that technology is in right now. So everything got more and more general purpose in the 2000s and the 2010s, and now we are moving back to purpose-built devices. And this is probably a natural cycle, because you have developments where specialized hardware is just better in than with general purpose hardware, until at some point performance of the general purpose hardware catches up with the purpose-built hardware, making the purpose-built hardware obsolete again. And you basically have that cycle. We have seen that in the past, and it will continue. And basically, the competition that is resulting due to that, that we are seeing right now with the whole competition between Intel and AMD, because they're closer speed wise. On the CPU side, you have the same thing with AMD and Nvidia, and perhaps with Intel now joins the fray. With GPUs, you have this overall also with Apple, with total power and energy consumption and so on. And yeah, this competitiveness overall is a very, very good thing for us consumers in the end, because competition drives innovation, and also competition keeps prices in check. So yes, we will have faster development cycles of technology again, like when I think back at the early 2000s, I was upgrading my computer back in the day every year or every 1.5 years. Nowadays, you can have your machine, uh, even if you're gaming, live for 3 to 5 years, depending on how many AAA titles with all the latest bling you want to be playing. And software, especially game development, has not yet catched up. And that might change now that this week also the Unreal Engine 5 finally released, so that might change. But yeah, it's more like in the professional sector where you see especially the fine grade optimizations, and in the mobile sector where you see those optimizations hit most. And yeah, basically flaming someone who is basically explaining the diversity of brands and products, and discussing that one product may be better for one thing than the other one, that is not helpful. And you had to deal with stuff like that in communities back in the day, when I think to the early 2000s, where you were in forums and you had the Intel or the AMD fanboys, and you had the Nvidia fanboys, and the ATI fanboys, because at that time the Radeon graphics portion was not yet part of AMD, it was still ATI at the time. And you had threads that were really called flame wars. And now you have people who are basically doing the same, like those people back in the day in forum threads. You're doing that are doing that as part of interactions with creators. And yeah, would hope that people would be a bit more mindful. And I think it's a responsibility of us all in the community to basically steer those people into the right direction, and make them aware that it's not the creator's fault, that the situation is what it is, but it's a natural progression. And I think that this diversity and these specific use cases will actually get more and more in the upcoming years. Yeah, so that's actually everything that I have to say about that topic. But I think it was a discussion worth having. And yeah, the news topics were pretty short this week, because actually there was not much. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what might be coming up till next episode. But we have the Easter holidays in some countries in between, so I don't know how much will really happen in that period, but we will find some topics. And if you have questions, ideas for me to talk about, feel free to send them in either via Twitter or via comment on my blog at bnonet.com, or even at my Discord, which link you will also be able to find on the blog. I am always open for suggestions and topics and questions, and yeah, feel free to send those in, and we might and I might pick them up at future episodes. So yeah, next episode will release on April 24th, and if you want to join in at the live recording, which is basically happening on the same day normally at 2 p.m. CEST, then feel free to do so. It is going on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can join in on both. And yeah, that's actually it for this episode. So if you want to get the full show notes, either you will find them in the episode description, or if you're watching the video version on YouTube or on Rumble or on Odyssey, then you will find them below in the video description. And if you don't want to search there, just go to my blog bnonet.com and you will find them right away, basically. And yeah, so thank you very much for listening and watching, and that's another episode in the books. Bye. Okay, that was the episode. Let me hit up the music again. So yeah, still almost an hour in with the stream, but episode about 40 minutes, I guess, when I edit it down. So yeah, also if someone wants to watch earlier episodes, I updated the library on Odyssey. I can actually show that, because I was behind in regards to uploading the episodes there. Let me check. Yeah, there we go. I can actually go over. So here you can see the Odyssey page, and these are basically just the edited down versions of the episode. Here's some of the artwork not loading, but you here will find all the 15 episodes. I think 3, 7, 11, yeah, 15 episodes that we have up right now. So if so these are the edited versions after the countdown that you heard earlier, and basically it's the same source as the podcast audio. It's just the edited video portion. And yeah, so in case anyone has any questions or comments on discussion topics for today, I'll open up the floor for those now for a few minutes, and after that we're going to wrap up this stream, because I have to edit the episode for tonight's audio release, which is always at 8:30 p.m. German time, which is at the moment CEST, so Central European Summer Time. I actually screwed that up a few days ago when I initially updated the schedule, and I wrote CEDT, but it's CEST. And yeah, should have been obvious because it's basically the German pronunciation, but translated into English, and I was thinking in American time zone terms, so that was wrong, and yeah, it's fixed now on the schedule and so on. So you can actually see the correct time zones on everything. So let's see if there are some questions or comments on discussions topics of this episode. Let me check YouTube. Nope, there is none. Then I would say we are closing it for today. So thank you everyone again for watching this live recording of my technology podcast again. And yeah, next one will be in 2 weeks. Again, 2 p.m. CEST. And yeah, I hope that I will be able to post some topics earlier, but yeah, that's just not possible because I'm sometimes even learning new topics pretty recently, or I'm waiting because not much stuff has happened in the weeks prior. So as I said during the recording, we have the Easter holidays coming up, and yeah, there might not be much happening, and yeah, therefore let's see what's going on. And I wish everyone a nice rest of your Sunday. Have a nice rest of the weekend, and have a good start into the new week. And yeah, next stream on my end will be tomorrow, 8 p.m. CST. We are going back into the verse of Star Citizen. So we will be playing again. Probably it will be still version 3.16.1. I don't think that the new patch will be out by then, and we don't know yet what we are going to explore, what we are going to do. We will basically wing that a bit, so I'm looking forward to what's coming with the new patch, especially with the introduction of rivers and so on. So it might be that we're going to a planet surface tomorrow to experiment with weapons and vehicles and stuff like that. So yeah, not sure yet what it's going to be, but it will be interesting. It will be fun. I will be talking with my mate again in German, but chat will be English, and when I know someone is there and watching, I will interact in English as much as I can. And yeah, next stream after that will be Beat Saber on Tuesday at 6 p.m. CEST, and yeah, the next week will be, that might be actually the only 2 streams next week, because it might be that I am off on Easter holidays from Friday till Monday, so that would mean no streams over the weekend, and of course no Beat Saber stream on Friday. So yeah, if you want to be kept up to date in regards to my schedule, follow me on Twitter, where you will receive all the updates, and also you can also join my Discord, where you will also be notified in regards to updates. So yeah, thank you very much again for watching, and yeah, have a nice day everyone. Bye.